So, welcome back. We're here with Joseph Pio Asterita, and we finished discussing ley lines, and now we're going to go into sacred geometry because you also create a lot of beautiful metal artwork related to sacred geometry, and I've seen a couple of them on your webpage, which later I'll be linking in the podcast. And I'd love for you to kind of go into it and discuss how it helps us energetically.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here again after our wonderful meeting before. And yeah, I started into sacred geometry about 7 or 8 years ago, where I would sketch sacred geometry, and a friend, and it was great to draw it, but I wanted to get something more substantial. A friend of mine who was a welder was in a car accident and couldn't weld for a while. So he asked me to come under his strict tutelage, how to set up a welder and start cutting metal, and very strict tutelage. And I started welding. When I was in the military, I used to work on airplanes with metal and aluminum. So I understood shop procedures, but not about steel. Anyway, I was just infatuated with it. This was so much fun, especially when you start welding. And then I started making basic designs on my own after I finished with him welding his stuff. I got my own welder and then started getting into different tools. And next thing you know, I'm building pyramids, a chestahedron, which is that, if you look up there in the corner of my, that's a chestahedron over my left shoulder, or the shoulder. And now I've made those 8, 9, 10 feet high, and I do big flowers of life, and I'm on art shows and what have you. And I have found that the sacred geometry, especially the series I'm going to present here, is the gateway into higher consciousness. Because the earth is made up of geometrical patterns, way down at the atomic to subatomic level. It's all geometry. That's what I want to present here, so you can understand the value of the sacred geometry and how we can use it for healing, for meditation. Very, what have you. I even have a little thing on how to do that in meditation. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. Anybody can do this. Anybody, you don't necessarily have to have it. You can draw it on yourself and make your own artwork. All you need is a compass and start in, and you're on your way.
Okay, so let's get into it and see what it's about. Because we can actually even just put these kind of artworks in our bedrooms in certain spaces, and it will create an effect, right? And an energetic effect.
Yes, yeah. Or sometimes not in your bedroom, because they get too powerful, then you can't sleep at night, or you can. I've overpowered my house. I've had so much sacred geometry. I can't stay and I have to run outside, so I have to learn how to balance it. It depends. Okay, so here we go. It's an amazing subject, and it's very vast. I'm gonna be talking about the different aspects of it, more into what's right in front of you, but sacred geometry has to do with the design of the human body. I'll get my cursor over here. The design of the human body. The Egyptian pyramids are based on geometric principles of the phi ratio, what have you. And even the way the human hand is designed, I got this from this wonderful book over here, that your hand is designed to fit, to equal the arc of the sun in 1 hour is what your hand is. So you can actually tell where the sun's going to be in another hour. Or if you're out hiking and you want to know when the sun's going to set, so you don't get caught in the dark, well, you just use your hand and figure it out. It's quite amazing how the body is designed, and I'll show that now.
It sounds phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Vesuvian Man that Michelangelo drew, and it's to show the different aspects. But here's the golden ratio, which is 1 to 0.618. So from the hip to the foot, to the bottom of the foot, if that was considered 1, the hip to the knee is 0.618, 61.8% of that. And likewise with the arm, if you go from the shoulder to the tip of the hand, that would be 1, but from the shoulder to the elbow would be 0.618 of that. And I've actually done that. You measure and then you do the math. You go, God damn it, it's right. It's right on. So that's one aspect of sacred geometry. And the other aspect I told you is telling time from it. and where the sun's going to be. And there's so many different aspects, from the size of a raindrop. It's, how the metric system was designed, and it gets on and on. It's very, very powerful. It's in the galactic sense too. There's geometry in outer space and what have you. So, but I'm going to keep it to now the basic way of how we can use it. But I want to get into the three-dimensional aspect of it. So this is the energy field around the planet right here. You see this is the energy field. And now if you got this energy field and you compressed it and shrunk it down, it would start to come in closer and closer until you get into two-dimensional art, which is what we're working with now, or I'm working with, two-dimensional art, which would be this. This right here is that, this here, which is called the lotus of life, is that right there. So you see this here is your heart center. And here's the aura, you see, and this is your energy field that goes around you and the energy coming up. But that's in 3D. Kind of hard to make this, believe me, very hard to make it. So it's to make it more art-oriented and easier to work with, you got that. So this is called the lotus of life.
So the light in the center would be our heart.
The light in the center would be your heart. Also, if you project it up into the higher realms, this is the throne of God right here. And these are the creational aspects of creation. So the basics here is what they call the 12 around the one. And I'll get into this in a second, but this over here is the lotus of life. We come now, if we take the center aspect of this out and go to this is the seed of life. So this is what I call the breath of creation. And here we have the seed of life. And then from here we go to the flower of life. This is part of an art show that I did. I actually took the pictures and cut it all down. So this is where the basic conversation is going to be about. Okay. Are you with these? Have you heard before?
No, I've not. I've seen certain ideas related to, I think I was looking at something about Leviathan, and they were doing similar diagrams over the water, over like a triangle, and they were giving the I guess the same kind of circles going around it, but I'm not clear on it. So if you could explain it, would be great.
Yep, sure. All right, so let's go back to the lotus of life over here, and under the concept of 12 around the one. 12 around the one is very basic in spirituality. So you have the 12 signs of the zodiac around the one earth, right? You have the 12 months of the year around the year. 1 year, 12 months. More importantly, on a spiritual realm, you have the 12 apostles around Jesus. And if you get into the Gnostic Gospels, the Apocryphon of John, you have the 12 aspects of creation around the Creator. So 12 around the one is very important. So what you see here is 12 petals around the one center. And from here, the center, everything emanates out in creation. So everything comes back to the Creator. In this form, this is what this represents. It comes out from our heart, and then from the heart or up to the Creator is the same point, but in creation, it comes out in 12 different consciousness aspects. And then it expands out to another 12, then expands out to another 12, and expands out to another 12. And I can get into the Vesica Pisces and all the different aspects of this, but that's 202 geometry. From here, we have the seed of life, and from the seed of life, we have the flower of life. So I want you to focus on this, and how does this come from that? And we go to the next sign. So again, here's the lotus of life, and you see how these center parts are? These 6 petals, these 6 petals are these 6
the ones
petals.
that are colored in. Mm-hmm.
You see that? Okay, so what happens in creation? So the lotus of life is a much higher dimensional aspect. It is the sacred geometry of the higher dimensions. But as you lower the frequencies of the dimensions to get into 3D, you can't take all of that with you. This just can't hold it. So part of it breaks out. It comes out and only 6 come down. So this 6 over there is the representation of this on Earth in the geometric realm.
And then the one that's next to it in the other picture, one is colored in, and then the other one is
of life that comes next.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have here now is the basic on the seed of life. There are 6 petals, but 7 rings. So this is the basis of creation. So 7 days of creation, 7 rings. Okay, how many chakras do we have that make up the human physical body? 7 chakras. You got it? So now the blueprint is being laid. So if we could take this even further in the seed of life, now we have within the seed of life the basis of the Star of David. You see it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can tell.
Okay, and now beside the Star of David, you have the hexagon. Now let's talk about the hexagon. It's the basic building pattern of life. You know, you ever see a beehive? It's all hexagons. And the reason why is it's the only design that you can put but side to side and continue it without having any space. It's the perfect geometric design. So this is the start of, and I'm going to go show you how this gets into quantum physics in a minute. But I want to, from here, we go to the flower of life. So here is the seed. You see the seed right here? This is the basic 6. Now, when the basic 6 starts expanding out into more, this one here goes up and it forms another one. This moves over here and it forms another one, which has come back to here. This is all interlocked. This is the seed of life interlocking, and it makes the flower of life. And from the flower of life, we have what's called the metatronic geometry. These key points here, where you see the 7 chakras and the platonic solids, which is all in here, the octahedron and what have you, are all inside of here, which is an aspect of this. So now in Metatron is the archangel who designed creation. He was part of the working with the elemental kingdom. Use this type of geometry to come out with designing the planet. Now, there's a movement out here, and I've read it, it's been very influential. They call it the flower of life is a dark geometry, and they actually call it the daisy of death. There's a movement out here, and I followed that for a while, and I understood what they were saying. And I'll show you how it differs later on. It can become what they say, this becomes locked in reincarnation. But that's not a bad thing, because Metatron knew that the human could not do this in one lifetime. He had to come back for subsequent lives. But because if there's any of you folks out there who are looking at this and saying, that's the daisy of death, hold on, I got the answer to this. Okay. So now in the Metatronic geometry, so we have the seed of life, the flower of life, and from this, in that drawing I showed you before, we have the tetrahedron, the cube, the octahedron, icosahedron, the dodecahedron. So this is fire, this is earth, this is air, and this is water. Earth, air, fire, water. And this is ether, the dodecahedron. So you see how it all starts to, family is coming together. The family is coming together.
They mold together, yeah.
Yeah. So it starts with the lotus. From the lotus, it goes to the seed. From the seed, it goes from the flower. And from the seed and the flower, all of this comes out because it's interconnected when you start doing the 3D approach. So let's see where we see this. Okay, this is the Merkaba, which is 2 interlocking tetrahedrons. See it? And what else?
This is the Merkaba. Just explain it for people who don't know. It's the field around our body that are like everything included.
Yeah, it's the geometry in which the soul travels in, and it's different from a male than it is for a female. This would be male at this point. The female would be facing more into the. No, this is female. The male would be facing the other way, and would have the beam in front of him. In some research, this was on the Gaia channel long ago, and I apologize to get the name of the quantum physicist very brilliant man who figured this out, that the quantum field is actually geometric. And this is his artist's perception of the quantum field, which is now upstream of matter. So out here, upstream of matter is where you have all of the sacred geometry coming into and shaping the quantum field to shape physics. So, but what is this? It's all triangles, and it's a hexagon, and it's all tetrahedrons, and in the Merkaba, all inside of the quantum field as the quantum field. So this is how it spreads out and connects. Okay, now let's go back to the flower of life. Now, for those of you who paid attention in high school chemistry, this came to this. This is how it all works, right? What is the basic building block of matter? What atom?
Oh my gosh! If it's not carbon, or I have no idea.
Oh, hydrogen. From the hydrogen atom. Okay, everything else is formed inside a star. When the star implodes, and the hydrogen makes helium, and then when the star explodes, helium makes carbon, silicon, and through successive exploding stars, supernovas, you get all of the elements that form together eventually to create the planet, which 10 billion years later, here we are talking. Okay, but we're made from that. We are. So what is this over here? Look at this. This is a hydrogen atom, a series of hydrogen atoms. Look at here on the top. This is the orbiting electron, and here is the proton in the middle. Here is the orbiting electron, and here is the proton in the middle. Now you know why it's called the flower of life. The element of hydrogen is the source of life. It's the flower of all matter. It's built from that. So there are 19 rings here, 19 orbits, and there are 19 centers. And each center I have a crystal, and there's a reason for that. So do you see now how this all works?
It all combines.
Yeah, we have now the atomic field, and then from that, it's all downstream. So you can draw these. There's Google sites where just type in how to draw the flower of life. Get yourself a piece of O-tag and a compass, and off you go. And follow them. Within 3 minutes, you'll have your own art, and you put it in front of it, and you meditate. I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, I've made these still 9 feet high, but.
Well, how is it bringing in the energy per se from a energetic point? When you draw one of these, how does it pull in energy?
It emits energy on its own. That's why it's called sacred geometry. So, here's a piece like right here. This is one I keep handy. This is a lotus of life. And I could put this lotus of life down, and it's not going to work too good. But if I get my dowsing rods, and just by putting it over the lotus of life, you see how they cross? It's picking up the energy field from that. Now, there's ways you can measure the type of energy that's coming out of here. This is all good. This is energy that's coming out. So if you ever do a meditation and you have something like this in front of you or in front of your heart center, it's projecting that energy out, and you just lay in it. And then you take that energy and then you build it up and you go deeper. It's a facilitation.
Yeah, like to facilitate it and just amplify it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Now, for those folks who got into the daisy of death, here's the point, and there's some value to this. And it changed me when I saw this and I researched it. Here is what they call the crystal lotus flower of life. It's another name for it. We call it the lotus of life. But it is that 12 around the 1. And the value here is that it all goes back to source. Everything comes back to the creator. In the Metatronic flower of death, in this aspect of it, they're important. It's fragmented, finite consciousness. It's closed source because it keeps bouncing back and it keeps going around. This is multiple lives of reincarnation. Okay, so again, we were designed to reincarnate so we could experience much. Now, if Metatron designed this, how could he, listen to what they're saying. I understand it. This is correct. But if you make every one of these source, every center source, and if you look at this here, every center here has got a crystal in it. And I start making these with crystals in the middle of them. You see, and crystals, and it goes back to that crystal. So that crystal from here goes to here. And as it spreads out and grows, that crystal, which is source, everything goes back to oneness. And I have one right here. I can show it to you. Ta-da! So you see the crystals in everyone?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that all goes
source.
back to the lotus. So this a point of light, which is really now, if you want to say it's a proton, this point of light right here is the source of creation. It goes back to the creator. And this is an entire entity on its own. You see, everything goes back to source. Everything goes back to source. It goes back to oneness. There are mathematical progressions that we can get into to show you this mathematically, how this works. This is linked to the you heard of the Fibonacci sequence? Well, there's the source code frequency, which everything goes back to zero. Fibonacci does not go back to zero. It's limited, okay? But it has its purpose as part of creation.
Okay.
And then music is based on that from the 432 hertz scale. It's
solfeggio hertz.
Geometry. And the lotus.
So have you ever created a piece for a specific spiritual purpose?
Oh, next slide. Right there. Here is using the lotus of life to clear a battlefield, the White Bird battlefield in Idaho. Or was it Iowa? Where was this? Idaho. Yeah, this is the Nez Perce. Have you had the Trail of Tears in America? There's also the Trail of Sorrows, which is in the Northwest United States. This is a battle between the Nez Perce and the U.S. Cavalry. And a team I work with was out there. You can see her hand. And she put the lotus of life over the battlefield to help clear souls, help the light come through and clearing souls. Here's one doing it remotely. There's a lotus of life over a map of the Sands Creek Indian Massacre. To help, I worked with a team that was out there. Well, they were out in Colorado doing this clearing. I was here in my house with a map, helping it, and quantum entanglement, helping them. It was very, very difficult, very, very difficult clearing, very difficult. But it worked. And so that's the geometric pattern on how you can use sacred geometry. And of course, as I said before, here's the best geometric pattern is working with your heart, using sacred geometry to amplify that energy in your heart and then spreading it out to mankind in your pilgrimage. So
after all of this work that you do with sacred geometry, how does this teach you about source, about God? How has it deepened your walk with the Creator?
It helped. It made sense. There was a point, well, you have to have faith to understand this. But in our limited human intelligence, when you start seeing the geometrical patterns and how they all go to source, they go back to the Creator, like in the lotus of life, and how everything comes through here, the quantum field, and then the hydrogen atoms. I go, this stuff really works. It's true. So it helps lock the whole thing right in. I mean, now, yeah, there's faith involved, but now I'm seeing it in real life, And then when you use it to clear a battlefield or something, go, yeah. I mean, it just makes you stronger. It makes me stronger in my faith.
So it's like seeing it in a tangible way.
Say again?
It's like seeing it in a tangible way. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, it's like you want proof. And then when you get this and you go back to the source code sequence, the number sequence, or the source code spiral as opposed to Fibonacci, and you see how the number, this could be in another lesson, you see how all the numbers balance, and all the numbers, when you're going back and reverse, go back to 0. And then when you see how music on the 432 scale matches that, you go, oh my God, it's amazing. You know, that's how it all works.
Yeah, because just in case anyone doesn't know, the 432 solfeggio frequency is technically the frequency of the planet, correct?
Yes, and it was at one time the frequency all music was based on. I think it's at third C or what have you. I'm not into this. A friend of mine does everything by notes. I do bit of frequencies. You know, we just look at each other like we're speaking foreign languages. So yes, but then if you get that 432 hertz and you start using, and you start breaking the numbers down, the frequencies for all of the keys, A, B, C, you know, in the different octaves, you'll notice that it matches the source code spiral, the source code frequencies. You go, this can't be like made up. This is right on. This is just beautiful. Now you have sound matching mathematics, which matches geometry. Bingo, home run, over the fence. You know, this is it.
Well, listen, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you wanting to learn more about Joseph's work, you can find the links in the podcast and to his webpage in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to sacredmindshift.com so you never miss an exciting event or another discussion. Would you like to add anything else to it, Joseph?
My website's under mass construction, but if you do go about me, you'll have my email address, and they can contact me through my email address. But this is moving so fast. My website's still like 5 years old. So, but it's nice to look at, you know, see all the different work I've done.
And I recommend anyone who's really interested in this to really check it out, because obviously there are not so many people in the field who know about this, correct?
There's a growing amount. There's a growing amount of really good people, but it needs more public relations. And thank you for doing this. Thank you for getting the word out and what you're doing. It's amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Joseph, and God bless.
God bless.